And seeing how Knox has been improving since his coach came in, if the other ones need a specific coach, bring those coaches in as well. Like, honestly, whatever helps to develop these players and give them playing time.
Yeah. But since we're talking about Julius Randle, let's talk about the player that he's actually taking playing minutes from, and that's Obi. Obi-Wan, as they like to call him. So Obi, he didn't have the greatest preseason, but he was decent. I like what I saw from Obi in spurts. There were some things Obi's definitely going to have to work on. But other than that, you know, he was high energy. And also we saw some decent passing from him. I saw a lot of moments in the third and the fourth game where he wasn't necessarily finding his own shot, but he was able to make the right pass, make that extra pass, and find the open player. That's something I really liked seeing from Obi in some of the film I've been watching.
No, I agree. I feel like Obi is going to be one of the main players that benefit when Quigley's on the court. In the same way that RJ gets to the lane easier, it's going to be the same for Obi because Obi already showed that he has that athleticism. He can catch lobs, and he can easily get over any defender to dunk. So with him and Quigley, I feel like they could be. I mean, obviously, I'm going to make the reference, but they can be like another Nash and Amari, just playing that pick and roll basketball that it's either Quigley's going to make that three or it's an assist to Obi.
That two-man game. Yeah.
Potentially, it could work.
I like seeing Obi on the court because Obi knows where to fall in line on the court. Like you see a lot of times where space opens up on the court and Obi knows where he should be in those situations. You see it a lot. And you see a lot of times that the person that has the ball, not necessarily Quigley's been making the right decisions, but sometimes you'll see DSJ, Frank, or RJ not necessarily get Obi the ball at the right time or at the right spots, but you at least see Obi recognizes where he's supposed to be and at least he's in position. So once we get, you know, a point guard like Quigley that's a little bit more knowledgeable about where players are supposed to be on the court, once we get Quigley and a backup like that, or that's similar in playing style or player or in IQ, no pun intended, or if we can get RJ to kind of understand the role as a ball handler, facilitator, and be able to get Obi those touches when he's wide open by the basket, I think Obi's going to really blossom and really flourish. Because Obi's one of those players where he needs a ball handler, he needs a facilitator. He's not going to get too many baskets on his own. And we've seen that in the preseason. He started out in the first game, he was able to do it with a few low post moves, but it's been virtually non-existent since then.
No, I agree. One thing that I did notice about him, like you mentioned, you would think he's like a shooting guard. Like he is constantly moving on the court, whether he has the ball or not. Like he is literally running back and forth. He's going low post. And there's a lot of times where I noticed like he was signaling for them to like throw a lob or something. They weren't. I don't know why they weren't, but he is aware of his spacing, what he can do and where he should be, like you said. So if he's able to get them to actually throw the lobs when he asks and things like that, his offense could definitely shine.
Yeah, I'm glad you see it too, because I see it a lot. He's always, you know, and you see it a lot with a bunch of Knicks. DSJ, Frank Nitty, Kevin Knox, they all do it, but those three that I mentioned, they're usually not open when they do it. Obi, he's legitimately open when he does it a lot of times, and I'm like, yo, if anybody would just throw it to the rim, Obi could go up there and get it and be able to flush. So, you know, to have Obi and to have the next player we're going to be talking about, Mitch, who's able to do a lot of the same things. Now, with Mitch, he doesn't necessarily know, or he's not necessarily in the right spots all the time. But for the most part, Mitch is in position to catch some of those lobs and to finish some of those passes. And Mitch has been disruptive defensively time and time again on the court for this New York Knicks defense. And I think if the Knicks can continue this intensity for the entire, what is it? I think they're playing 77 games this season. If they can do that for the entire 77 games, 72, one of them. If they're able to do that for the entirety of the season, then as long as our offense catches up, we're going to be pretty competitive this, 2021 season.
No, I mean I definitely agree. The only thing about Mitch, like he has decent field goal percentage and all that, but on offense he just sometimes he just gets me upset. Like some of the things that he does just don't make sense. Some of the turnovers he gets when he gets the
Yeah.
ball in offense, instead of just going up over a smaller defender, he wants to try to do a spin move, maybe a little fade hook, or like that's not you yet. Like you're probably practicing that, but it's not you yet.
Mm-hmm.
Score the easy point, get used to seeing the basket go in. Some of the things it just frustrates me, which is why I'm not surprised that he barely scratches 10 points a game. Like he's not taking the best shots he can to score as easily as he should.
Yeah, most of Mitch's buckets come from either putbacks or alley oops. So that's why he needs a quality point guard a lot more than Obi does. Obi has a little bit more in his toolbox, a little bit more in his repertoire. But Mitch, for the most part, he's gonna set the pick, roll, and dunk, or he's gonna get the offensive rebound and dunk. He doesn't really have much to his offensive game outside of that. And I keep saying he needs to go and work with a low post aficionado who is going to help him be a low post threat, because right now he really doesn't have that portion of the game. But as long as he's able to contribute to the team defensively and be as disruptive as he's been this preseason, I think we have a solid starter at center. I think honestly in that fourth game we pretty much saw what our starting lineup should be. It should consist of Quickly, RJ Barrett, Obi, and Mitch. And if you want to say you want to throw Kevin Knox in as that small forward, I wouldn't argue with you there. If you want to say Bullock, who looked, decent with that unit on Friday, he could also be the starter. But if you want Knox to be the starter, I would not argue with you there, because Knox has looked good so far in this preseason. I've liked what he's done.
No, I mean I agree with you. Knox, he's definitely shown improvement from the first game to the last. Obviously, I credit a lot of that to the people he was on the floor with.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes,
but
big
the
time.
difference is,
He's
yeah,
also been putting some
and
work in, but yeah, you're right. A lot of that credit
yeah,
is
he's
to
been
the people he was
making,
on the court with.
yeah, like he's been getting a lot more open shots, and he's able to get in his offensive flow like a lot easier. Because I mean, obviously he's not going to shoot 70% every game
True.
like he
Mm-hmm.
did in the last one. He shot 70%. He was 7 for 10. So I feel like he's a player who he definitely needs to get a couple more good looks. Just because in the first game he took a lot of contested shots, he took a lot of rush shots. Granted, a few of the times, I think like one or two of the times, he got the ball with the shot clock at like 4 seconds left. So obviously he's going to have to take a bad shot.
Chuck it up.
Yeah, but throughout after the second game, like with the third and the fourth, his percentage was over 50 both games. He was able to get in his actual offense and take smarter shots, and it showed. So if you can continue that growth and know what shots to take and what shots you don't take, I can see him as a starter.
Yeah, I liked how you phrased that. It was more a byproduct of who he was on the court with, and that's why I like Quickly, because for the most part, Quickly is helping him get these open looks. Like if you looked at the third
Yep.
game where Quickly played 25, 26 minutes, and if you look at the fourth game, a lot of those open looks are either byproducts of assists directly from Quickly, or the fact
Mm-hmm.
that the spacing on the court is there's ample spacing on the court, and the fact that the defense is rotating and they're usually late getting to Kevin Knox, so he still has a wide open shot. Like in the fourth game, he had like back to back threes. He had one on the far corner that he was able to knock down, and then he had one on the near corner. I think a play or two after he was able to knock down as well. And if he's going to be a consistent 3-point shooter like this, it's only going to benefit the players around him, because now the way that the opposing team is going to have to schematically defend the Knicks is going to change drastically. They're not going to be able to put that bummy 2-3 zone on us. And man to man, I think the Knicks have the athletic ability on the court to run circles around other teams. We have a lot of youth on this team, and as long as Julius Randle or Payton ain't on the court slowing things down, this team can run up and down the court. And with that level of energy, that level of excitement, and that level or the amount of first round picks we have on this roster, this team should be exciting. I'm seeing early stages of maybe what the Pelicans have, or maybe even, if you take away Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
if you take away maybe Goran Dragic, what the Miami Heat are trying to build over there, when you have Duncan Robinson, Harrow, Bam Adebayo, you have that young core over in Miami, and I feel like the Knicks are trying to do the same thing in New York. And I feel in our development cycle right now, the perfect thing would be for us to start developing this year. And then in the 2021 free agency class, or even via trade, that way we can, I know at that point, we can try to bring in somebody else to put us over that threshold like Miami did with Jimmy Butler.
No, I agree. I feel like we have genuine key pieces here with Knox, RJ, and Obi, and now quickly. We finally have our own little core that, as long as we don't do anything like, trade them away for Harden, which, did you see that that's a potential thing going on? Like,
Yeah,
I don't want
RJ
James
Barrett
Harden.
and a bunch of first round picks.
A bunch of first round picks. I'm like, I don't want Harden. But what are we gonna get Harden for? To still not make the playoffs? No, just keep what we have and let's build that way. So yeah, as long as we keep what we have and just continue to actually work on them, and seeing how Knox has been improving since his coach came in. If the other ones need a specific coach, bring those coaches in as well. Like, honestly, whatever helps to develop these players and give them playing time.